National Economic Council approves 100 billion naira for rehabilitation of security agencies' training institutions.
A committee is to segment the 55 institutions, identifying 25 of those locations in the first phase.
And Senate confirms General Christopher Gwami Musa as Minister of Defense.
The nomination of General Christopher Musa is hereby confirmed as a Minister of the Government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus on expectations from new Minister of Defense.
Now, the new Defense Minister will be turning 58 years on precisely December the 25th this year. Well, he brings an extensive military pedigree to the position and comes as a recipient of Colin Powell's Award for Soldiering in 2012.
Indeed, Claire, the new Defense Minister led the Nigerian Armed Forces as Chief of Defense Staff between 2023 and 2025, and after previously commanding the Infantry Corps and leading major military operations, including Operation Hat in Kai in the Northeast.
So his first-hand knowledge of welfare and logistics challenges, people say, would help him improve conditions for serving personnel, logistics, and weaponry.
And the President has urged the retired general to deploy his deep operational capacity to reposition the Defense Ministry at a critical time for the nation.
Indeed, and as expectations pour in, the Defense Minister has been enjoined to demonstrate genuine commitment to defeating terrorism by strengthening investigations, prosecution, as well as accountability. Now, the call is loud for the minister to also hit the ground running and pursue quick-aim measures.
And he is also expected to disrupt terror financing networks, track masterminds of violent attacks, and ensure ongoing counter-terror operations are guided by intelligence-driven strategies.
So the minister, that's the new minister, is also reminded that Nigeria's security situation now demands urgent, coordinated action between the presidency, the defense ministry, and other security agencies.
That's not all. To cap it up, Nigerians want results and not rhetorics, calling on the new minister to confront escalating violence and restore public confidence in the nation's security system. It is on this note that I welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Victor Azo. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul-Razak. So, you heard Victor this morning. We will be picking up the expectations for the new minister, even though his responsibilities are clearly cut out at this point in time. But shortly, we will be joining Chinaye Moye. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA, and like we told you earlier, our conversation this morning will be on expectations of Nigerians from the new Minister of Defense. Let's listen to the views of some Nigerians on the street who brought their minds, and this was compiled by our correspondent Uyeyemi Ajayi.
So we're expecting there to be a change now. We can't continue this way.
Insecurity, you have to.
I pray that he will perform more than ever before.
Okay, I expect a lot from him, sorry. Yeah, he should do what is expected of him. He should do the right thing, always, and he should not be selfish, definitely. He should do what the people want. I believe with him working in hands with the various military personnel, I'm sure things will work out for him.
What I expect from him is that at least you should work harder
so that all these bandits, all this insecurity, at least we put in order.
I wish him success in his new appointment. He will perform. He did it before. I will still do it again. I trust him. We are praying for him. I will succeed.
We are trusting that even as he's giving in the Minister of Defense, we are trusting that things will change around.
So I expect him to act professionally because he's already in the system, right? So he has a requisite experience to discharge the job. So now the ball is on his court. So Nigerians are waiting.
Right, many thanks, Oyemi Ajayi, for putting that together. And seated here in the studio for our conversation on expectations from the new Minister of Defense, let me welcome Professor Hiz DJ Opataku, who is a behavioral change and regimental effectiveness consultant. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, and from our Kaduna studio, we are joined by Muhammad Ali, who is a security expert. Thank you and welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
For having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, and joining us via Zoom is Major General Chris Olukolade and his former Director, Defense Information. We're glad you could join us, Major General. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Let's start with you, and I'd just like to start, with an understanding, so Nigerians, get a clearer picture, because a lot of people have talked about awareness and all that. Let's begin to evaluate the size and weight of the responsibilities that probably awaits the new defense minister.
All right, if that is for me, from even the clip we just watched a while ago, you see that there's a lot of expectation from across the board, from Nigerians, from the leadership, and most of it is hinged on the security situation generally, and then the pedigree of General Musa himself. And these expectations, we have a lot of demand, both on him and on the nation as a whole. And this is what I wish that Nigerians would begin to understand, that all of the solution to our security situation, yes, the military, the Minister of Defense will play a very important and perhaps major role, but the entire solution does not depend entirely on them. It will rather depend on all of us with our hands on deck, from the leadership to the streets to every Nigerian, giving him the best of cooperation. And this is what he will be expected to enjoy in the days ahead for him to get the required results in this mission. I believe that the Nigerians are expecting that the military should be so swift and deliver a very big bang that will get us better results in the security situation of the country. But with the enjoyment of cooperation across the board, and with the position of General Musa now as the political head of the military or the defense sector, much is expected from him, and believe that the goodwill he enjoys across the board should come to play right now.
Major General, I actually wanted you to just give us an insight. The scope, as a political head of the military, what is the scope of his responsibility and what is the weight, before we even talk about what we expect of him?
The scope of, all right, the scope of his responsibility would mean that, superintending mainly over the role of the Ministry of Defense, which is essentially to coordinate the demands and the needs of the military arm of the nation in terms of their logistics, the welfare of the men, and then coordinating it with the political head. That is indeed a very enormous duty. And my concern for the general, I think he will need help to manage it, is that, yes, he may have the understanding of the military having been in command for quite a while, and even up to recently. So he is familiar with this military system. But the entire Ministry of Defense does not depend on the military system. A very major aspect of the ministry is the civilian arm of the headquarters, and that's even where he operates from. So he will need the understanding and cooperation of the civilian military and civilian Ministry of Defense. They are the bureaucrats that will coordinate his actions and help. He will rely more on them, and Nigerians should look up to these people to give the best of cooperation to the Minister of Defense. And let there be no stereotypes of that would depend on anybody wanting to prove a point, or rather to cooperate with the minister and let him deliver what the nation expects at this time.
Thank you very much, General. Let's make that quick trip to Kaduna, where we have Muhammad Ali. And I'd like to ask, what do you see as the immediate security threat that this minister must confront immediately?
Well, first and foremost, the appointment of General Christopher Musa as the new defense minister comes with lots of expectation characterized by his specific military role. He's going to bring in a benchmark for kinetic efficacy, institutional synergy, and above all, non-kinetic approaches in order to attain sustainable stability across board. Having said that, I think he has come in at the right time when insurgency, courtesy of acts of Boko Haram, ISWAP, and in the Northeast, banditry, kidnapping, and the economy of violence in the Northwest and North Central zones. While in the Southeast, we have an escalation by secessionist groups, which has risen to about 125% in the last few months. So I think he has come at the right time, having regards to his previous experience as a field commander and a general at that, having commanded the Operation Lafia Dole in the Northeast, and at the same time was also in charge of the multinational joint task force in the Lake Chad Basin. I think he has come in with a very wide range of experience in tackling the issue of insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping. So what we need to do is to give him all the support needed. And just like the general said, he also needs to have the full support and collaboration of the civilian staff of the Ministry of Defense in order for him to make it. But certainly, his appointment has come at the right time, especially having regards to the declaration of state of emergency on security by His Excellency the President.
We'll come back to you, Mr. Ali, and let's come back to the studio. And Professor Ehi, I'm just looking at the new minister. I mean, he seems to be enjoying, wide public support and encouragement. If you look at his background, not just as a military, a former chief of defense staff in the military. If you look at his other private background, he's from southern Kaduna. We're told he personally witnessed the issues between the Zango and the Kataf and all that. And he also has a Christian background. So how does this give him an advantage as a Minister of Defense?
As a Minister of Defense, by virtue of his very charismatic nature and his exposure to all these issues, I would like to use this local proverb. There's this local proverb that says you do not look at a masquerade from one angle of the field. So all these different experiences all create this individual that we call this new Minister of Defense. All these components come together, all these different levels of exposure. It helps you understand things from different perspectives. When people are speaking on different issues, you understand their viewpoints. That exposure is very, very important, because by virtue of having worn the uniform and then also being CDS and being a Nigerian who has seen things on the battlefield, so operationally you have that experience. When you now come to this other side of the field where you are no longer wearing your uniform, you're having to handle the issues and now interface with the political component of the country and the executive and all others. Because when we talk about Minister of Defense, it's not only just locally now. Internationally, when people go for meetings and associations and all sorts of groups, he's our face for defense when he goes there. So all those perspectives expand his scope of tools and understanding, and when people are advocating for certain things, he can understand where they are coming from. So he can look at both sides of the picture. So like I said, he's able to look at the masquerade from different angles of the field.
Why do you think he has so far enjoyed this, public support?
Like I said earlier, he's quite charismatic. Even his response in the Senate yesterday, his body language was very, very relaxed. He was on top of his game, as it were, because he was on very, very familiar territory. He was in non-familiar ground. That ebullient nature, that pleasant nature, that ability to not be very dogmatic in speaking and in conveying information, probably is what has given people the positive perception about his personality.
But he's not been the only one who occupied the office of the Chief of Defense Staff, who also had such an ebullient and charismatic nature. We've had others. So is there any particular peculiarity that he brings?
I would say the times, the circumstances right now. The average Nigerian is traumatized because of all the security reports, real and imagined, even online and offline. So people are looking for a beacon of hope. So when you see somebody who is not talking to you from the point of being motivated by anger or fear, and is saying, don't worry, we'll get the job done, it gives everybody a sense of confidence, and it helps to boost seriously morale.
Okay. Now, we haven't had a retired military person in that position for some time. To add to that, he just left, you could count days since he left office as Chief of Defense Staff. What should this mean, down the line for the officers and men, whether in the field or in the offices, that this is our own? What should it mean, and what impact can this bring about?
What I would say about that is that the fact that he recently left the system, pulled his uniform and is now in civilian garb, it helps to give him current real-time information. He is up to date. He has a very great grasp, as it were, of the matters on ground. So the reality, the enormity, the scope, everything that you assume or he should have covered in terms of information, nothing should be outdated, because he basically just left seconds ago, as it were. So those are the things that will help the men to believe that, yes, he has a grasp of the situation on ground and the approaches that will be required to solve those issues.
All right, thank you. We'll get back to you. Let me quickly head to General Christopher Olukolade. Now, General, you led defense communication. Coming from that background, what do you think that General Musa should change on day one with regards to how, the military communicates with Nigerians on one hand, and how the military chain communicates with itself? Of course, we are talking about General Oba. Some talked about communication and all of that. What should change in all of this?
Well, and I have no doubt that General Musa has an understanding of this need for operation. I think there's need for more coordination, perhaps from the defense headquarters this time. And even at the defense headquarters, there's need to, concentrate the information dissemination about the operations. And not just that, the the system will benefit a lot from the capacity of this new minister to also communicate. He just like the Prof mentioned, his charismatic nature has meant a lot in enhancing how we deliver to the Nigerian public and the international community. And that has meant so much. With him now in the saddle, I think there will be more need for, interacting with the public and communicating the needs of the military and even the public back to the military. So I have no doubt that he will have interest in shaping that properly. Maybe now there will be more coming from the Ministry of Defense in terms of input into information dissemination system. Now, apart from the information dissemination, the knowledge of the CDS, of the new minister as CDS and field commander in several instances, no one can fool him. No one can tell him what is there. So if any message is not being properly packaged, he can quickly correct it. So the narrative is bound to change. The narrative of how the mission is conducted, both locally and in all other missions that the Nigerian military is involved, is bound to change. And the Minister of Defense kind of sees it all from his position.
I'd like to stay with you because you touched on a very, very important, aspect. When you spoke earlier on, you made us to see clearly that he now wears, two caps. One, of course, as someone who, who was head of the defense as a military man, and now as a political appointee, civilian head of the military. Can you please deepen your thoughts on the second aspect as a, political head of the military and the realities that the new minister may have to confront?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. In the sense that I don't think I could elaborate earlier. I also mentioned that a very crucial element in the defense sector is the civilian staff of the Ministry of Defense, where the defense the defense ministry is headquartered. And if we judge by this, I was privileged to have served in the Ministry of Defense even as a major, the younger one. And I know the sentiments there, and many people want to prove a point, especially when they have a military man in the saddle. They want to prove to him that, look, we do it differently here. We don't know it all. I think this time the minister will need to enjoy their cooperation. Maybe Nigerians should plead with the civilian staff in the Ministry of Defense to cooperate with him. And, as a military man, and with his experience, he will want to be swift. He wants to deliver the bank quickly. No one should use bureaucracy to slow him down. That's a challenge he will need to manage. And I think we need the cooperation of everyone, including even the head of service of the Federation, in terms of noting the kind of people that are posted to the Ministry of Defense to work with this general in this present situation. It should be people who have understanding, people who are willing to cooperate and get results, and not to use bureaucracy to unduly slow down things. The Ministry of Defense is very crucial in the sense that it manages, like I said earlier, the welfare of the armed forces, both the veterans and those in service, as well as the logistics coordination of the needs and communicating it to the political leadership. This requires some understanding, which I know General Musa has already, and is current. With this, in this cooperation, I think he has what it takes to solicit it across the board, both from the civilians and from the political leadership. You can take the military for granted. All of them worked under him, even recently. So he can take their cooperation for granted. That one is sure to come. But the others are the ones who enjoy a similar relationship with.
Some people seem to be evaluating, his achievements. I don't want to really say his achievements, his time as Chief of Defense Staff, and, the level and scope of, insecurity, and probably, what we expect now. Would you say, how would you evaluate his time as CDS vis-a-vis, the level of crimes and criminality, the different dimensions of it from different parts of the country?
Yeah, one thing we can give to this general is the fact that he is exposed, and I think has intellectual depth to adapt to every situation, even to manage the political demands of his office. His new office has a lot of political demand, more than operational demand. With his background will surely come to play, because he will be able to. You see his response in the Senate yesterday. You see he will easily relate with them. A night previous to that, I had the interview somewhere, and I said that what we're expecting tomorrow when he appears before the Senate is that he will have his foot seal. And at the end of that, I have no doubt that he achieved that. And his level of understanding, his exposure, his intellectual depth has helped him a lot, both as CDS. I believe it also helped him now as minister. And like I said, what Nigerians should plead for is for him to enjoy the understanding across the board. We can also take the fact that he enjoys the understanding of the political leadership in terms of the president, for him to be called back after just a few weeks of what is now looking like a holiday, and is back in the saddle. It will fit well into relating across the board. And the challenges of the military has never overwhelmed him. For instance,
our connection to General Olukolade. We'll get back to him once we're able to get a more stable connection to him. In the meantime, let me get to Kaduna again and engage Muhammad Ali. Now, some people have been of the opinion that Nigeria is fighting too many security battles at the same time. If you agree with that, given the number that we have in our armed forces and all of it, how should General Christopher Musa prioritize at this time, given all that is happening and that has happened?
General Musa is a professional military man. Having left office 5 weeks ago as Chief of Defense Staff, he's now back as Minister of Defense, which is a political appointment. I still view him as the same man that he is, a military man in civilian garb. So I do believe he will use his wealth of experience to do the best he can to minimize to the barest minimum all the ravages of insecurity that Nigeria is battling with. Because we are fighting in almost 5 theaters: the Northwest and North Central, the Northeast, the Southeast, and of course, parts of the Southwest and the South-South. We also have ravages of insecurity here and there, states like Edo, Ondo, Imo, etc. So I do believe with the cooperation of the military, he will be able to stem the tide and ensure that the best is done. But most importantly, I think he has both the intellectual and technical capability to really deliver, unlike what we had in the immediate past, because previously the previous minister that resigned, he was a 2-time governor and a trained accountant. So he has no security background at all, but he was able to do the little that he can. So I want to believe General Musa will really cap it up and do the best that he can to ensure that Nigerians begin to have a sigh of relief from the ravages of banditry, kidnapping, and other security challenges we are faced with across the country. But certainly, he needs the support of all the arms of the services, the military, the police, the DSS, the civil defense, etc. With this, I do believe, I want to hope and believe that before long, we'll begin to sing and dance for a relief from the ravages of insecurity very soon.
Mr. Ali, we share, really share in your optimism, and we say amen to that. So let's bring in Professor here again. And, you know, I'm looking at, I want to recall, you know, some years back when former CDS chief, General Lucky Rabo, was the commander, you know, in Maiduguri. I recall that he did, you know, state that we have won the war, but we have not won the peace. So, which goes to say that insecurity is not just about weapons and, you know, kinetic. It's also about our mindset. How or what behavioral gaps, especially with the troops, should the new minister begin to address, and how should he go about that?
Expanding the scope of what is called welfare. Welfare goes beyond what the man earns as income or his allowances. That can be worked on, that can be improved on. However, you march on your belly and you march on your morale. One of the enemies he needs to also combat and put structures in place to properly tackle and eradicate are things that deplete the morale of troops. A man signs up, wears the uniform, goes for training, and goes to fight for the country and put his life on the line. Everything that fights his capacity, so we are talking about cognitive ability now, his cognitive skills. So basically you can say his ability to plan, to learn, to adapt, adjust, to reason or to think or to remember or to recall. Anything that fights or tampers with or reduces his capacity, because you can spend so much money on technology, buy 1,000,001 drones, come with the latest apps, come with the biggest MRABs, the biggest aircrafts, in fact, different types of armadas of ships. If at the end of the day, the people who are operating these things are compromised in any form, shape, or manner, then you would not succeed. So he has to do a lot of work in terms of strategy and execution of morale building exercises, of resilience building, back end and front end. And then also involving veterans. We have people who are fit, who are capable, they have pulled the uniform and are in civilian garb, but they are still able to serve, even in their local communities. Because when we talk about intelligence gathering, we have them scattered all over the country. Thousands of them alive, well, observing, seeing things. How can we harness that in intelligence gathering? When we talk about, he said, I believe I saw a report somewhere that said he mentioned 25% is kinetic. The truth is, you only have so many troops. But you have the vast majority of Nigerians, over 200 million if I'm not mistaken. How can he harness their capacity to help in this fight? Because when we talk about insecurity, it is everybody's business. And that's where, under non-kinetics, you now have what you call civilian-military relations, or civilian-military cooperation, or civilian-military affairs. So how can that be seriously ramped up? So that even in non-kinetics, even if you are doing PsyOps, for example, or you are working in communities, and you are doing needs assessments, and you are trying to provide what you call quick impact projects or CIMICs, how do you ensure that those things, those projects, those efforts hit the nail on the head? So it all goes back to, what do you think is welfare? How do you expand it as a new Minister of Defense? So that if you work on the morale, and you work on the man's capacity to fight, and you put psychosocial support systems in place that are effective both for the short and long term. So you must have clear KPIs, so that at the end of the day, you have good M&E, and you can see results for all the efforts you're putting in, so that you can, at the end of the day, say, okay, fine, this is what we've done, this is where we've got it right, and this is where we've got it wrong. And quickly turnaround, you have a quick turnaround time, and then you can get better results.
I'm sure you also seen the front pages of the papers today. Daily Trust particularly picked out, an aspect which, of course, would be, of interest to a lot of people, where the new minister, proclaimed that, there are gaps even within the army. How should he begin to re-engineer behavior, to plug these internal, leakages?
Now, it depends on what he calls leakages. At every point in time, they said the biggest room in the world is that for improvement. So no system is 100%. Every time there's room for improvement in terms of your output, your expectations, and even responsibilities. So he can decide that in this area, this is priority. Whatever he gives priority is where he will put effort. Okay, so when we talk about plugging the gaps now, are we talking about in terms of the output of personnel? Are we talking about in terms of staff turnover?
Gaps within the military. It probably speaks more of cooperation, more of synergy,
intelligence. Yes, intelligence support. You see, the truth of the matter is this: at every point in time, I think the new CDS, he also spoke about the fact that the police should be supported to do much more in terms of internal security. We have to tell ourselves the truth. When we talk about security in this country and we say it's everybody's business, we should not limit it to just the military now. By virtue of his office as Minister of Defense now, it is creating bridges for other agencies to come on board. So that is why you have to create a comprehensive strategy. You look at the big picture and then look at the little components and say, okay, what do I want to achieve and who can help me achieve it? It's a who, what, where, why, and how situation, and when. So when you do that, even those gaps, when you see those gaps, you can now decide who are the actors that can quickly give me the results in those areas. There are several things that can be solved through joint training. There are several things that can be joined through enhanced policy and plans. There are several things that can be joined through better civilian and military cooperation. There are several things that can also be solved through better future plans and policies. So we can have present and then we can also have future.
Also through media hype.
And even through media hype. And then even your recruitment policy. So there are so many ways, even in your operational planning, the different components of it, you understand? So that is why he has to sit down. That is why I'm here. I love talking about everything that is non-kinetic. When you look at the big picture and you see the little components that are required, then you can now do what is called plug and play. What do I mean by plug and play? You now know those who can give you what you need, who have the skills, prerequisite skills, both in retirement, those who are retired and those who are serving, and they can come on board and then the system is enhanced as a whole.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. We'll get back to you. Let me quickly get back to General Chris Olukolade. I see that he's back. And I'm wondering, the best militaries in the world are big on intelligence gathering. I don't want to name countries, really. But how do you think that General Musa can, walk through this to make Nigeria the military that it once was, or even better? And how does he walk around to start with the civil-military relations, especially in conflict-ravaged communities?
Again, we'll fall back on his recent experience in the sense that you could see the synergy enjoyed with all the services, the police, the intelligence agencies while in service. I think we can cash in on that. And on an incremental basis, apply that to managing the position of the defense minister. He is better placed now to, bring this to bear. We must give it to them that the intelligence gathering capacity of the Nigerian system has improved a lot and is improving. I see a lot of use of technology in line with the current development playing out this time around, and in his position as defense minister, he should be able to enhance this in terms of the requirements that can achieve growth in this area. Fortunately, also both the Defense Intelligence Agency as well as the Department of State Security, State Services, and others who know so much about this and have been making a lot of build recently are familiar with him. And I think you should improve on that and use all the resources available to keep improving. Because this is the dimension of this is the major dimension in warfare generally and security management. So he should make the best of it. I know he's not. There's no doubt that he can easily relate in this field, and by his pedigree, which is the kind of understanding he enjoyed in relating with the police, the DSS while in service, that should come to play this time around. And he should use his higher level now to enhance this, both within the service and outside the service. I appreciate the way Professor had, narrated this earlier. It's really in sync with what should be going on, and there is no doubt that generally the system will benefit more if we hit this council and ensure that it supports our delivery in terms of security.
I'd like to still remain with you because I put the question to Professor here. I'd like to also hear what you think because you have been, in the center of operations. I remember, traveling with you to Mali in those troubled days of Mali, and I know that the new minister has said that, or come out to say there are gaps within the military. And I mean, we all know that this could mean a whole lot of things, from cooperation to synergy to intelligence sharing and all that, to even infiltration. But my question is, from your perspective, what must he prioritize as a swift response to this challenge, so that we begin to address the issues of insecurity promptly as well?
Well, I think one of the things he may be referring to when he talks of gaps within the military will be in terms of meeting their logistics needs and welfare. And luckily, now as defense minister, he is better placed to address them and get the understanding of the presidency to address these issues. For instance, the issue of the military-industrial complex, which there have been a lot of efforts at recently. And it's but the improvement is slow. I believe that with his presence now, that's an area that will be enhanced to at least address the logistics needs of the services in operations. And if this happens for the military, it will definitely touch on other aspects of including the place. If we improve in this area of funding our logistic provision processes through the military industrial complex. America does this a lot, and we are learning from it. I think this time we can step up our game in that direction. And he also must be concerned, and that's what is making it clear, that there is no doubt that within the system there is a serious need for improvement in training. Quite often, most of this training are being done in the midst of the situation we are managing. But generally, it appears the system has been coping. This will be an opportunity to also enhance the capacity of the system to cope with the training demands while also carrying out operations. I hope I get what you are saying with this response.
I also would like you to enlighten us or enlighten the new minister what perhaps response there is, because several, even during the time of former President Goodluck Jonathan, a lot of people have come up to talk about, probable infiltration even within the military circle, which is also impeding on intelligence gathering and swift response of our military in terms of insurgency and attacks and kidnappings and all that. How should he begin to even look at this window of alleged infiltration of the military?
One thing we must give to the system is it's no more as easy now Particularly, there's an apparent better, I would rather say yes, better political will on the part of leadership to support the military. Now with that, it's easy for the system to deal with anybody who is off the guard, off the line, and trying to undermine operation from within. The intelligence gathering capacity has improved. That is, to be a mole now it's not very easy. Before long, you will be picked out. And the commanders now have more confidence to deal with erring subordinates or even anyone who is seeming to be undermining the operation from within the system. I said there's the political will of the recent times has enhanced that capacity, and I think the CDS will continue to make the best of it by improving on the technology of gathering intelligence within the system.
Lukolade, thank you very much for your thoughts. We'll now take some messages that we are getting from our viewers. And I'll begin with this one. It says it's writing in from Kilimanjaro. If our leaders can give him chance to do what he knows how to do, I believe he will do more than better, because the man, Christopher Musa, is a machinery. Okay. And the next one is from Hassan, who says it's good omen to have put the appropriate experience in the struggle to bring a lasting end to unwarranted killings and arson against Nigerians. General Musa, he writes, has been frank and worried over this tractable problem of security and sovereignty of Nigeria. Bandits and terrorists are mostly non-Nigerians, but harbor these Nigerian collaborators in various armed agencies. He has all information and intelligence at his fingertips. For him to effectively commence work, he needs the neck-tight plans and tactical strategies to deal with this issue. Like he has already stated, no negotiation with criminals, or what the collaborators call non-kinetic approach with who is already attacking you. That is equal to begging him to pity you. Authority or civilian collaborators should not paint any wrong advice to him in the onslaught to flush. Long one, but appreciated. The next one reads, morning to you all. You are all good people. We are expecting much from new Minister of Defense as a former CDS. To the best of my knowledge, if President is doing the needful, I don't expect to see our military have any complaints on weapon to fight Boko Haram and banditry across the states. And the next one reads, this appointment is another round-peg selection from Mr. President. The minister is still a general in garb. Now we can have a direct, synchronized approach to our security challenges. I hope we get it right this time. God bless Nigeria. And the next, good morning. The appointment of General Christopher Musa is highly applauded by all and sundry. However, my fear for him as he resumes is the fact that he will be dealing with civilians and politicians who will always want things done in their favor. Second, he is no more in uniform, therefore he cannot directly give command operationally. I guess he can. He can only pass the directives to the security heads. It is left to the security heads to decide whether to obey or not. Nigeria is a difficult nation to police. Religion also plays a high role in decision-making. I'm happy that he also set the ball rolling by saying the military will be asked to leave all checkpoints. Yes, they have nothing doing at the checkpoints. Therefore, they must be directed to retire to the barracks and face their constitutional responsibilities. No name, thank you. And from Flourish, from Lagos, I hope that this new Minister of Defense will be able to provide security for us. I wish him good luck. And finally, from me, the new Minister of Defense, General Musa, must immediately initiate an investigation into the Kebbi kidnapping incident, and within not more than 2 weeks, expose and start the prosecution of those culpable military and civilians involved. He must also expedite the investigation into the killing of Brigadier General Oba, because Nigerians are very pained by the way he was killed and want justice to be seen done to those either within or outside the security architecture that are culpable in his death. Most Nigerians believe General Musa can restore security to the country, but needs to be given full support from President Tinubu, and as a candid and forthright general, he should resign if he doesn't get full support from the presidency, because Nigerians will not accept any excuses from him if he doesn't stop the insecurity and kidnapping in Nigeria. He said he is crumbs. Now, Prof, you may want to get a go at some of this. Somebody has also mentioned intelligence gathering. I think intelligence is everything when you talk security these days.
You know, there's the common English saying that says knowledge is power. Intelligence is the beginning and the end, because when you have current, real-time, well-detailed intelligence, you can drive a lot of processes. One of the challenges we have is that we have looked at our population and just seen numbers, and we are not seeing sources. When we evaluate how much our civilian population can support and take ownership of the security support processes, we will now begin to understand that when we have better civilian-military relations, or better civilian-military cooperation, and they have more confidence in the system, and they have more confidence in the security services, then they will cooperate more in providing good quality intelligence. You cannot be everywhere at every time. We have a limited number of security personnel in this country. They can try their best, even leveraging on technology. But all the locals in far-flung communities where even good roads and communication masts might not even have access, they are there. Everywhere you have a settlement, or you have a town, or you have a ward, or you have a local government, you have people there who are eyes on the ground, who are seeing what is happening. But if they do not trust you, and one of the reports people keep getting when they speak is the fear of, if I give information, will I not be exposed? So people need to have that reassurance that whatever it is they are providing in terms of support, they, number one, have to understand that temporary cooperation with bad elements will still lead to the goat landing in the belly of the tiger. So at the end of the day, even if you think for your own survival, or because of little pecuniary gains, you are getting little things in your community, in the long run, those same bad elements will consume you. So when people understand the danger of that, and they also have confidence in the system in terms of providing intelligence, that they will be protected, not that there will be reprisal attacks or there will be negative repercussions in the community, then you can now have more people stepping forward with quality intelligence. Okay. And then even in reports, when people get reports, another problem or something people keep hearing even on social media is the fact that people give reports and they are ignored. That needs to be looked into.
Okay, I'll just ask one question before we go on a break, and then when we come back, I'll take the next set of messages. I'm just wondering, because, I mean, most of all the messages here have mentioned something very important, which the question I asked the general about infiltrations. What typically defines the mind of an infiltrator, and what are the psychological traits that enable him to blend within a society and remain undetected for a long time?
It's a chameleon thing, and oftentimes it's driven by ideology. Beliefs might be intangible. You cannot see them with your physical eyes, but they are often stronger than life. There are people who, to the death, will defend an ideology, no matter how illogical, irrational, dangerous, or even self-sabotaging it may be. So when you do not have a correct orientation about a situation, so I'll give you an example. We've been fighting insurgency for 15 years in this country. We have young people who have overnight become orphans. If at the start of the insurgency, a child was, for example, 2 or 3, he's how old now? He's virtually an adult. Now, what is going on in his mind? We have communities where all these young people have been left to cater for themselves or eke out a living. So what is happening to their psyche? Where are those people? Are they also trying to enlist and wear uniforms? Because we have had situations even in the media where we see reports where somebody will tell you, I joined because of, you know, in those days in Indian films, you have one person that maybe his family was eradicated, and then the man comes back and says that he's joining because he wants to have revenge. Now, the revenge may be counterproductive. It may be at very great cost to him, but because of the fact that he's driven by that disconnection from empathy, It's called psychopathy.
So how do you, how are we able to track them within a setup?
Recruitment processes and the fact that commanders at out level will have to be highly observant. Even in our institutions where two or more are gathered. So for example, even our religious institutions, radicalization can take place. If you face the problem from the roots, how do people become radicalized? That is the question you're asking. And why do they drive such fights, even at great cost to themselves? When you begin to understand the why do people do it? Personal grudges? Ideological infiltration by others. Maybe people start to recruit you because you have specific skills. There are people who have been recruited negatively because they have some specific skills and they do not understand that they were headhunted specifically because of those things. When people have grudges against the system, they can quickly become dark. So when we talk about infiltration, for example, why do these things take place and where do they take place? And then you now begin to go after those sources so that the conveyor belt that keeps making this look like the system is fighting but the problem is refusing to die or is refusing to subside the way it should. You now begin to have a better grip on the situation. You can now fight it better when you go to the root and understand why and where this is occurring and then take charge of that and eradicate it.
All right. Professor He, thank you.
Yes.
We'll take a short break. When we come back, I'll take the next set of messages. All right, thank you once again for remaining with us. This is Good Morning Nigeria. I have some messages. Basically, all the messages that I have are messages of solidarity, messages of goodwill to the new minister. But there are some also who have made suggestions to the new minister on what he could do. So I'll just quickly take Muyiwa from Ekiti. He said his expectation is if the new minister can get full support, all his efforts should be about terrorists. It should be about terrorists. It should concentrate on, eliminating terrorists and terrorism. This one is no name. We've had a lot of commendations and appreciation. The new minister should swing into action. He knows the terrain very well. Nigerians wish him well. This is from Togo. Togo from Ogoja says, Nigerian military needs better insurance policy. The new minister should please be ready to, take this role up. Better insurance policy for the military. That's from Togo from Abuja. Sanitarian James Danjuma, you've gone to, of course, you wish the new minister well, but you also say his appointment is a call to duty. We are confident in his leadership. Together, let's build a safer and more secure Nigerian. You want to know, as a good citizen, you are eager to support efforts by the military, so you want to learn how you can do this, more about opportunities to contribute to Nigeria's security and defense. I believe General Olukolade might probably give us an idea on how people like Sanitarian James, can play a role in this regard. This is from Femi Olabanji Ikorodu in Lagos. Of course, he's wishing the new minister well. He's advising him to take effective efforts to disarm all terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, criminal herdsmen, and ensure that the people, including school students under captive of kidnappers, are set free immediately. Should also find a way to fish out all military personnel that are complicit in insecurity activities. May God bless him, grant him wisdom, courage, and strength to perform these responsibilities. And Ubuluku Oku Oke Daniel, this one is your message is from Ubuluku in Delta State. You said it's good that Christopher Musa, with his military background, is appointed as minister, but the major solution to terrorism, kidnapping, insecurity, and other social vices is establishment of state police. This should be done without further delay. So Daniel from Ubuluku in Delta says state police, new minister, state police is for him necessary. Jack Abba from Makodi. Jack Abba says in a simple language, what we can say are the causes, or what can we say are the causes of insecurity in Nigeria, and how can it be totally addressed? He wants to know, of course, he also says the new minister should translate his experience into effective actions in addressing Nigeria's complex landscape. And there's so many things he's mentioned there. And finally, Nandam Wuye from Jos. You don't doubt the abilities of the new minister. He's the man for the job any day. He has the support of Nigerians, but you hope he gets all the necessary and prompt cooperation from the Executive, National Assembly, state governors. Internal saboteurs must also be prosecuted. It's about time that he put this country in order. Do have a very good morning, and also God bless Nigeria. And I want to thank all of you for your wonderful messages and good wishes, and of course your messages of solidarity to the new Minister of Defense. And I'm sure that the new minister is watching Good Morning Nigeria, and even if he's not watching, General Chris Olukolade is here, and I'm sure he will carry all the messages and all the inputs from today's program to the new minister. But General, again, are there any likely reforms, policy reforms that may be necessary to aid the new minister in his new assignment?
Well, the policy reforms this time will be both within the Ministry of Defense and then the entire nation, the political system in the nation, political authorities in the nation. That within the Ministry of Defense will be the continuation or conclusion of the transformation processes that began quite a long while ago, and then to ensure that our military continues to operate in line with modern global practices. I think that's the focus of that transformation document, and I know he will revisit it and ensure it continues. Now, for the nation as a whole, I think the nation should look for us to promote, both from within the public and from within the government or security agencies, more of interagency cooperation, more of public support to security agencies. And I want to plead this time by way of address to the security agencies. Less of inter-service or inter-agency rivalry or rancor. And let's see how we can continue to promote the synergy that seems to have been there, and then let it be meaningful. Let no one try to undermine any other service or bring down the capacity of other service in attending to our security situation. I believe that these are areas that cause for attention and that involves all. There's what they require, these terminologies, all of society approach to solving security issues, all of government approach to solving security issues, and I think that all of us have an input in this direction. The goodwill messages to the general is very encouraging, and I know it's inspiring, which he will make the best of, as we had it in this program.
All right, thank you very much, General. And let me quickly get to Muhammad Ali in Kaduna studio. Now, many are saying that our approach to security is still too reactive, favoring a more proactive approach to tackling security, which usually will be intelligence-led. What do you think is wrong with our intelligence system as a country?
Intelligence have to be harvested. So for that reason, we need to do a lot in order to have credible and actionable intelligence if we actually want to succeed as a people, and particularly the services. We also have to encourage people that are willing, sources that are willing to delve or to give out information. We have to assure them of their personal safety. People have a lot of information, but they are afraid to give out because at the end of the day, the criminals they reported will end up be told that it's Mr. A that reported you, and they get caught, and at times some of them even end up losing their lives. So I think we have to put some corrections and ensure that the right things are done. Whoever confide in you some information that will aid to the prosecution or arrest of criminals, I think we should do the best we can to fortify their identity rather than collecting money from criminals and giving out our sources. That is, I think, one of the major challenges that is bringing a stop or discouraging people from giving out information. And secondly, I do hope the minister will also look into the recruitment process, because as we speak today, we have quite a handful of informants, of bandits in all our services. And this happens because people pay money to get recruited. So if we want to really succeed, from today, recruitment must be based on merit, not on who is supporting your candidature or how much you pay. People are paying as much as 1,700,000 in order to get recruited in the services. And this is why people do as they wish. So from today, we hope and pray the minister will stamp his feet on ground and say that, yes, recruitment henceforth should be on merit. And I believe he can do that, because at one time he was the commander of the Nigerian Army Depot in Zaria. So he knows what I'm talking about. So we wish him well, but he has to sit up and ensure that the right things are done and people are only recruited on merit, not quota given to people like in the Senate. They share quotas to themselves. That is also wrong. Let everybody that is interested go and write the exams. If you pass, fine and good. If you fail, even if it is the president that is your dad, you should go and rewrite again. But not people taking at the expense of those who are really intelligent and who are willing to go and do the best they can in the services. So these are some of the challenges we are facing. If we are able to curatively look at this and correct it, certainly I think the services are ready and willing to go.
Yeah, I'd like to stay with you as well. And I just want to recall, a video that's trending online. It's one of these content creators, displaying, his meeting with the new chief of, the defense minister when he was CDS, and how, he provided a listening ear and even sought information and all that. So the new defense minister, just like Mr. President, is also a listening man. He listens, to people, and he seeks out knowledge. But if you look at the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, which is Nigeria's institutional framework, for implementing the ECOWAS Convention on SALWS, just to control illicit inflow of arms, by non-state actors, you discover that interagency rivalry still persists even amongst them. And I'm just wondering, we have a common threat. So why is this still continuing? Why does it persist? And how can we begin to dismantle them? Because that is another challenge or another assignment before the new Minister of Defense.
Certainly this can be tackled, because the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is on the increase almost on a daily basis. The minister is capable and ready to confront this head on, but he needs our support. He needs our collective support as a people and as a nation, so that together we'll be able to nip it in the bud. But again, there has to be punishment, because just last week, an inspector of police was caught in Katsina. He killed 2 of his service colleagues, took their arms and sold to bandits. What has happened to him? He was handcuffed and put in the cell. Just give 2-3 weeks, after which he may just be dismissed from the service, and that ends the matter. I think that is not enough. Just as he killed his 2 colleagues, he should also be tied on the stake and shot publicly, so that other people will see, will take lessons from that. But while we keep to shield people for one reason or the other, things will continue to happen. And we need to understand that crime is to be expected since humans are never perfect. But the failure of justice in any human society is more dangerous to society than crime itself. So for that reason, we have to ensure that whoever goes foul of the law should be dealt with, regardless of where he comes from.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Ali. Let's get back here in the studio and get to Prof. As we gradually wind up this conversation, what is it that must change in leadership, in our military leadership, especially at the command levels, so that we have improved outcomes, in our onslaught against insecurity?
Like I said earlier on, the concept of welfare has to be expanded. Morale is the beginning and the end. In regimentation, discipline, professionalism, and morale are what you use to fight, because your training is what gives you the capacity to understand what you are told. Commanders or leadership at all levels have to be innovative and transformational. They do not have to be very stuck in the concept of this is how it should be done. They have to have a bigger picture or a wider concept of what leading men should be. There are situations where, there's a saying that says you must show the way, you must lead the way, and you must also go the way. So at all levels, everybody requires the level of motivation and push that is expected to provide and produce results. And when we understand that crime itself has evolved in this country, we have a lot of organized crime now. And we understand that even online, I keep talking about young people, 35 and below, they are over 70% of our population. And we are now having increasing calls of young people online encouraging each other to carry tools. What do they mean by tools or carry car? Those are calls to themselves, amongst themselves, to carry weapons. Now, if over 70% of your population are talking to themselves openly online to carry tools, and recently in Edo State, 2 young women were found with 2 pump actions, and they were arrested. You now begin to understand that when you talk about small and light weapons, and you understand the concept of how the drug epidemic in this country has blown and gone haywire, and it has gotten to the stratosphere, we now understand that the way you now command men, and the way you observe men, and the way you lead men has to change. It has to also evolve too. They say if the bird learns to, if the hunter learns to shoot without missing, the bird also needs to fly without perching. So the thinking now of commanders at all levels is we must be transformational, we must be strategic, and we must be innovative.
Okay. Prof, General, this is the last question for you from our studio here. I'm just wondering, Victor was talking about command. We are used to the command and control center, and then some of the messages that we got also talked about, community policing and all that. I remember between 2016 and 2017, the level of insecurity was quite low. I mean, we made a lot of progress. We gained a lot of inroads. Most communities, that were, in the hands of the bandits or insurgents were retaken, and there was a relative, degree of success at the time. And this is because of engagement with the media, training, and a whole lot of, advocacy using the media. And I'm sure that the General, you've been, part of one of such engagements, with the media. How much of the media should the new minister use at this point in time?
Well, thank you very much. I think the number one, the new minister is definitely a media-friendly person. Even as CDS, there were occasions that people felt, no, it's been too open. But then he made the best of it, and that endeared him to the media generally. So it shouldn't be strange to the media. I think he can cash in on that relationship at this time. That is not to say that the system should not be nourished to be able to, make the best of the media as a collective, this time beyond his own personality. The media is not all in Abuja. They are not all in Lagos, or they are in most of the mission areas. And so the system should be encouraged to be able to relate with media across the board, and but to the safety of operations, nevertheless. And I think the media generally have understanding, once, especially when they can carry it along. All the processes for carrying them along should be sustained and perhaps nourished for better results. The media too is definitely understanding if they are carried along. And like I said, the new minister knows that from his experience, and he will make the best of it. I hope that the media will also reciprocate by not being destructive or joining to play to the gallery or to be unnecessarily obstructive.
All right, General, thank you very much. Let's quickly get to Muhammad Ali in Kaduna. That will be our final question to you. And how do you think that the new Chief of Minister of Defense, I beg your pardon, should fix the collaboration between federal and state security agencies, to improve the security outcomes? In a minute, please, if you can.
The minister will do a lot to fix that, but this question touches on our national security, and there is the need to circumscribe to my response. So for that, I just hope and pray he will do the best he can in order to fix the missing links. That I stop at that.
Thank you, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is, of course, a security expert in Kaduna. I'll come back to, of course, give you a proper appreciation. Just the last word, from the behavioral and psychological aspects, what should we be expecting from the new minister?
As men are being pulled from the checkpoints, they also require a debriefing and reorientation. It is key to ensure that they come back into the mentality of being regimented and working in the barracks.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ehi Odige Okpataku, Behavioral Change and Regimental Effectiveness Consultant. Of course, she's here right here in our studio. Thank you very much, and it's good to see you again. Thank you. All right, Muhammad Ali, security expert who joined us from our Kano studio. We'd like to appreciate you, sir, from our Kaduna studio. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much, sir, for your perspectives. For
having me.
And Major General Chris Olukolade, former Director, Defense Information, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Chairman, Compliance and Enforcement Committee of NIPR, and Chairman, Board of Center for Crisis Communication in Nigeria. Thank you, General, for your time.
Thank you so much for this privilege. Good morning.
All right, and that's it for today on Good Morning Nigeria. I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. I sign out for the week. I'll see you next week then.
And I'm Victor, so I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.